Welcome to my online tech tool presentation. I'd like to introduce you to NewsELA and show you how it can be used to supplement your classroom content and introduce nonfiction reading right across the curriculum. So what exactly is NewsELA? Besides being totally awesome, in my opinion, more specifically, NewsELA is a database of current event news stories that are tailor-made for classroom use. They're categorized by broad themes such as math, science, law, health, arts, etc. They're also very student friendly. So, for example, each article is available in 5 different reading levels called Lexile levels. Also, when you sign in, you can choose whether to sign in as an elementary teacher or as a high school teacher. If you sign in as an elementary teacher, then it's going to automatically filter some of the news articles that your students can see. So, for example, the recent events in Las Vegas might not show up on the elementary news feed, but they will in the high school news feed. So you can also actually go in and hide certain articles from students as well if you don't want them to see them. About a quarter to a third of the articles are also available in Spanish. So if you are a Spanish teacher, you can begin introducing real world events in the target language to your students using the lower Lexile levels. Unfortunately, French is not yet an option, but fingers crossed, it might be someday. So now you might be asking, what on earth is a Lexile level? That's a great question. A Lexile level is basically a fancy word and a trademarked word for reading level. The Lexile framework is a scientific approach to measuring written texts and the reading skills that decode those different levels of written text. So they're looking at things like syntax, sentence complexity, word usage, things like that. Now, this can help match readers to appropriate text levels. However, I do caution you on 2 things. First, Lexile level does not indicate content level. So for example, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets has a Lexile level of 940, whereas John Grisham's A Time to Kill has a Lexile level of 770. Only one of these would you really want to give your 4th grader. So a second word of caution is be careful about associating Lexile level with grade level. This is one thing that I actually don't particularly like about this site, is that when students are reading articles online, it will state at the top of the article the word count and the grade level. One thing you can do is just download the article as a PDF, and then you can either print it out or you could put it on your own website, and at the top of the PDF document, it won't show the grade level. Of course, if you're using the maximum level, then you could also try and just go to the original source so that the students can see the article on the original source website. So unfortunately, in this post-truth era, we do have to be very aware of where we're getting our information from, and we do need to teach our students about media literacy as well. So you can see this is just a small sample of the sources from where NewsELA gathers their information, and you can find a complete list of their news partners on their website. The author and the source is always stated at the top of the article, and you can also go to the Learning and Support page to find different sources to help you teach media literacy to your students. So I thought this might be a great place to throw in one of my favorite educational quotes by Albert Einstein. Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. So hopefully, even if our students don't remember what they read in the articles, they will remember the importance of looking for their information from multiple sources. So how can you use NewsELA in your classroom? Here's a short list of just a few ideas. You can use it for free nonfiction reading. You can use NewsELA to supplement novel studies, and I'll give you an example of that in just a second. You can examine multiple perspectives on one subject, and I'll give you a lesson plan idea in a couple minutes. When you're looking at writing styles and motivation, one thing you can do is go to the site and look at reading skills. So for example, you could look at point of view and purpose for grades 9 to 10. And then when you click on the article, you can open the activities, and the writing activity will give you a writing prompt for specifically looking at point of view. You can also use the site to look for articles to give you an anticipation guide prior to starting a new unit or when students are doing research projects, etc. So I'll just give you an example now of how a text set can be used when doing a novel study. So this is an example of a text set that I used once with a grade 5 class. We were reading the novel Esperanza Rising, which is about a little girl who grows up quite wealthy in Mexico and then her family loses all their money, and they move up to California to work on the farms. So we looked at a lot of current event issues that were happening at the time, such as the number of immigrant children arriving at the US border alone. We looked at children who are working long hours in the field still today. One article I see here that's been added since then is looking at how Mexican Americans are distorted in textbooks. So there's a lot of nonfiction text that can supplement and give context to novel studies. So as I mentioned earlier, students can sign into their own student accounts, which is linked through your teacher account, and they can read the articles online on a computer, on an iPad, or on cell phones. Or if you want, you can also print out the PDFs and they can take a look at a print version in class. All right, let's take a look at one lesson plan idea. So imagine that we are a grade 9 class, and yesterday we were outside on the field playing a game of soccer when we saw a drone circling overhead. We had a lot of questions about this. Like, where are all these drones suddenly coming from? Is it legal for this drone to be flying over a school? Is this drone taking videos of us? We went into the class and we decided to investigate this a little bit further. So we set up our KWL chart. We talked about what we already know about drones. Then we talked about what we want to learn about drones. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at a drone text set to see if we can answer some of our W questions. This is an example of a slide that you could have on your overhead projector as students start to get to work on their drone research. So they could work alone or with a partner, whatever they feel comfortable with. This is one way of offering differentiation as they begin to answer the W questions. Or maybe they just find another article that interests them and they create a new question. They can choose the reading level that they feel comfortable with, and if you're not entirely comfortable with this, you can also track this from your teacher account on your computer, or you can just walk around the class and interact with the students as they're reading. Students can make annotations as they're reading, simply by highlighting the text. Remember to remind them to try and answer the question, so what? How does the information in the text relate to what they already know? Students can also try doing the quiz to check their comprehension, or they can try the write prompt. The answers to the quiz and the responses to the writing prompt will show up in your teacher binder. It's always a great idea to offer a little bit of differentiation for your higher level students or those who might finish a little bit early. So you could have students find another article and add to the KWL chart. Or perhaps they could design some conversation starters if you were to do a Socratic seminar on this topic. Thank you so much for joining me for this EDPB530 tech presentation, and I look forward to seeing all the other tech tools that are presented to the class.